Hello, my soccer universe. My name is Roland and this is Football Talk. One last one for this international break in November. We have to draw for the playoffs for the World Cup. And again, for me, it was all about, will Italy actually have a chance of qualifying? And I have to say, yeah, mixed feelings. Semi-final, potentially okay. Final, this could be a tough away trip. It won't be easy for Italy. That much is for certain. The chances actually have decreased. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to keep this episode relatively short. I had actually something planned on patterns of World Cup winners and so on, but I guess I will keep this for a World Cup draw and potentially a first prediction, but that is in 2 weeks' time, the earliest. So let's just focus on who has qualified and who is in the playoffs and who will play against whom and what are the chances of each of the teams that are in the playoffs. I mean, we have 16 in UEFA and we have 6 in the rest of the world that still can qualify for the final 6 spots. So it's quite the gauntlet that these teams might have to run through. Although, if you're the DRC or Iraq, you know you have only a single game the opponent will have to have played before. So that might actually be an actual advantage, but you have to play far away in Mexico. Let's stay in CONCACAF. Because I want to actually add a little bit more to the teams that have qualified and not Panama. We know Panama. Panama is a force, as I said, currently probably the 4th strongest team in the whole CONCACAF region, but I definitely want to talk about the 2 surprise qualifiers in Curaçao and in Haiti. Honestly, Curaçao, this is now the smallest nation that has ever qualified. However, it's not as much of a surprise when you look how they did it. I mean, by themselves, they couldn't do it. I mean, this is a nation that is a whole lot smaller than even Iceland. I think Iceland has about 450,000, Curaçao has 150,000 people. So really, the smallest nation. But they have a hidden advantage. The head coach is a certain Dick Advocaat, 78 years old. You know, he, I think, twice had the Netherlands at a World Cup. So that's already a big advantage. However, they also used their ties to the Netherlands to actually recruit a whole lot of players that were in the Dutch youth system. So that actually boosts your chances considerably and actually will get them there. Curiously enough, I saw that, the current home jerseys are not that great, but the only place that I could find them was actually a Dutch football jersey selling page. And yes, all the adult sizes were already sold out, so no Curaçao jersey for me. Similar story applies actually to Suriname, who also have very much ties to the Netherlands. And also, we know the Suriname players, Ruud Gullit, Rijkaard, those were the ones that I grew up with, the first real Suriname stars. But, you can add there Edgar Davids, a Seedorf. And, it doesn't come as much of a surprise once this nation realizes that we actually can really tap into this pool. It is still remarkable that these nations actually realize that and actually are out punching their weight. And that, I think, is pretty remarkable. But what's even more remarkable to me is how Haiti qualified. This is a nation that is in utter disarray. It's more or less a failed nation run by gangs. Haiti could not play a single game at home during this qualification run. And then they win a group with Honduras, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. 3 teams from Central America, and especially Honduras and Costa Rica, way more stable, especially Costa Rica, who are a giant in the CONCACAF game. Yes, having had some troubles, but they had only 4 draws. Haiti got 3 wins without having a single home game. This is a major achievement. It's not their first World Cup, unlike Curaçao. They were in 1974 at the World Cup as well. So, insofar, it's still a sensation. But I find it remarkable that a team that has no home games, that comes from a nation that is failed, I think you cannot even think about celebrations in that stadium. The team will be happy, but it's not like the whole nation comes together there. Maybe it does. I don't know. It is really something boggling the mind. Also boggles the mind, but this is the case for many nations coming from CONCACAF and elsewhere, Iraq, Iran. There are visa bans to the United States. I mean, that's a whole other can of worms that I do not want to open yet. But I want to have it mentioned because CONCACAF came a little bit short, especially Curaçao and Haiti, in my last episode. And yes, I always said I have not seen this. This was rather surprising to me. When you look a little bit deeper, yeah, I think Haiti is still very much surprising to me how they could pull this one off, but it also tells you team unity probably working very well, whereas the other nations did not. And I even know that I think Jamaica, coach Steve McLaren, I think, was resigning right after not winning against Curaçao immediately with a prepared statement. Also kind of a little bit weird. And yeah, was also echoed by Honduras, who actually thought they had qualified and now they are completely out. Crazy stuff in CONCACAF. I think World Cup qualifying in Europe can give you some chills sometime, and there are some amazing games and amazing results. But when it comes to true madness, you have to look beyond Europe. And I'm saying this as a European. And I'm not even saying South America, because the South American qualification mode is not that great. Although I have to say, I understand a continental championship where you have a full league table, that has something going for it, but given that so many do qualify from South America, I don't want to take any spots away from South America. But it seems a little bit superfluous, I gotta say. With that, I want to read out the nations that have qualified by confederation and in alphabetical order, so that we actually have a full picture, and there's no graph. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm just doing this. I have not anything prepared yet. I don't even know anything about pots yet. But from Asia, we have, or from AFC, the Asian Confederation, we have Australia, Iran, Japan, Jordan, a debutant, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, who actually then qualified through this fourth round. And, Asian qualifying 4 rounds, absolutely madness. South Korea and another debutant in Uzbekistan. Then from Africa, we have Algeria, we have Cape Verde, a real surprise story, but one that you could see coming. They're making their first trip to the World Cup. We have Egypt, Ghana, the Cote d'Ivoire, we have Morocco, we have Senegal, we have South Africa and Tunisia. So except for Cape Verde, all nations that one would expect potentially at a World Cup. South Africa, a little bit of a surprise. However, they are the 2 big missing names, and that is, of course, Nigeria and Cameroon. 2 of the biggest nations like 20, 30 years ago. Those were the big nations in Africa, completely nowhere. Have to sort them out. CONCACAF, we have the 3 hosts, Canada, Mexico, and the United States. We have, as I say, Curaçao, we have Haiti, and we have Panama. Curaçao, again, a debutant. From CONMEBOL, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Uruguay. From Oceania, the OFC, we have New Zealand. And from UEFA, we have Austria. I'm very pleased about that. Belgium, Croatia, England, France, Germany, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Scotland, Spain, and Switzerland, all of which already have been at the World Cup. That's also no surprise. I would say surprise qualifiers have to be considered Scotland, and to a lesser degree, I would say Norway and potentially Austria. But when you saw the Austria's group, you had to expect Austria to qualify. And that leaves us now with the playoffs. And we had 6 teams qualifying for the Inter-Confederation playoff, as it's branded now. We are still used to say intercontinental playoff, but we had the 6 teams. We had from Asia, Iraq. We had from CONCACAF, Jamaica and Suriname. We had from CONMEBOL, Bolivia. We had from Africa, the DRC, and we had from Oceania, New Caledonia. They were then ranked by the FIFA ranking, meaning that the DRC and Iraq had actually a free or a bye towards that final, and they would play against either one of the other 4 in that final, where the 2 CONCACAF nations were kept apart. And the draw yielded that the DRC will play the winner of New Caledonia against Jamaica, and Iraq will play the winner of Bolivia against Suriname. Given that Bolivia comes from South America, I was a little bit surprised that they are not even seeded, but Bolivia, this was also kind of a sensational qualifying campaign, because they are the team that everyone beats up on, usually. So for that reason, maybe not too high of a ranking. When I look at it, I mean, the 2 teams that are in the final have a huge advantage here. I already said that DRC should be favored against either one of them. I mean, if Jamaica can get it together, I think they could give the DRC run for their money. I actually wonder will the DRC and Iraq play a friendly in Mexico ahead of their final? To kind of get warmed up. I mean, the best thing for them would be that the other teams will go to an overtime. But I don't see Jamaica against New Caledonia going, for instance, into overtime. I would expect, and I'm saying this right now, I could go a completely different, but I would expect Jamaica to win this easily. I see Bolivia and Suriname a much closer affair. Also note, this will be played in Mexico, so Jamaica and Suriname will potentially have a little bit more of a home field advantage there. But that also would apply to Bolivia. I think Bolivia and Suriname could be a really interesting matchup. Iraq, though, will wait for that winner. And I could see an overtime happening there. As we see on the sides, I have the chance of reaching the final is Jamaica favored and, of course, Bolivia favored. But the ones to go through, of course, the top seeds. And let's go now to the European one. Who did Italy get? Well, in the semi-final, Italy got Northern Ireland. But what did not go well for Italy is that they again have to go away from home. They have to play against the winner of Wales and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I don't know what Wales are doing. Again, they have the road at home. Yes, Italy is probably a tougher opponent, but Northern Ireland and Wales are better teams than Italy are. And not talent, teams. Team spirit with them is really, really high. So Italy probably have to be considered just by pure status the favorites here. This is not an easy route to the final at all, and to make it to the World Cup. And I'm concerned. I think the home nations are performing really well so far. I mean, we have already England and Scotland qualified. Wales have the home road. I mean, Northern Ireland will probably not making it. Ireland just snuck in. We'll talk about them later. In this quadrant, Italy are the favorites, but I can very well see Wales going to another World Cup. Gotta be honest. Path B is actually an interesting one. Ukraine plays Sweden. Yeah, there are some previews as well. If Sweden can get it together, I think they could do something. But this is a rather even affair. But what is most interesting, the Ukraine have been playing the home games in Poland. Who will they play in the final? The winner of Poland, Albania. So most likely Poland. And so it's an even Stevens affair in the final, I would say, with Poland having actually home field advantage. Unless Ukraine decide to go to Germany for that one. This is also still yet to be decided. So I find this a rather intriguing draw. I also find this probably, just by the names, the most loaded of the playoff paths, or the most even of the playoff paths. The path C, Turkey also. And note, Ukraine is the only top seed that have home field advantage throughout, and then they don't even have home field advantage. I think UEFA, I still don't like this entire seeding system that the final has been decided by a draw. Give the 4 top seeds the home field advantage. And I'm not saying this as an Italy fan, it just makes more sense this way to me. In any case, I actually think that Sweden in Path B has a decent chance. I mean, Sweden need to beat Ukraine and then they host at home. And Sweden is a mess, but maybe Graham Potter can pull it together. Path C, Turkey, again, home against Romania, but have to go away to the winner of Slovakia against Kosovo. They will probably beat both of these, but the Kosovo is really strong. I actually think it's not Slovakia that should be favored here. It should be the Kosovo. Look at their qualifying campaign. They finished 3 points behind Switzerland, but ahead of teams like Slovenia and Sweden. So don't overlook the Kosovo there. Franco Foda, former Austrian, much maligned Austrian national team coach, doing amazing work there. But it also fits him a whole lot more because he's very good for teams that are outsiders. So I actually would pick Kosovo. Of course, Turkey has to be considered the favorite there, but I pick Kosovo to play Turkey in said final. And then the last one is also a relatively even one. Denmark have to go away from home, play against North Macedonia, the Czechs against Ireland. And if Ireland can do something against Hungary, they can do something against the Czechs as well. The Czechs are usually not good in World Cup qualifying. It's also a pretty nice away trip for the Irish fans. I mean, Prague, come on. I mean, I've been now just a few with it. Prague is just awesome. I have a sweet spot here for the Czechs. I gotta be honest. But, I know enough Irish people that I would be very happy for them as well. So, yeah, we'll see. I think this will be probably one of the more interesting ones to watch. And then they will host the winner of Denmark against North Macedonia. So this will be Denmark, and Denmark will... I think if Denmark will go to the Czechs, they will win that one. If they go to Ireland, I'm not so sure. As I said, the islands up there, they could actually get 4 teams into the World Cup. I mean, not 5, that's not possible. And, I know grouping in and I know grouping in the Republic with the UK is iffy. I'm just saying, everything that is English speaking is quite well situated. Interesting stuff. Now, if we look overall, who got most dented and who got most boosted by said draw, the winners are Romania. I mean, Romania, yes, have to play away at Turkey, but Slovakia and Kosovo is not highly ranked. So, yeah, I don't see it as a favorable draw, but I could see rating-wise, it probably they got away easy. I mean, you don't play Italy, you don't play Denmark, so in that sense, you have been boosted. Sweden, similar, Slovakia, similar, Northern Ireland, you see a pattern there. The losers, of course, are Italy, Turkey, and Wales, surprisingly. Wales only, and you see the changes are very, very little. Italy is the biggest loser, lose almost 6% of the qualifying chances because they don't play at home. And they have to go to Wales, which is one of the harder asks to boost. But, Wales, because they have Italy in their path. Ukraine also have despite home field advantage, they don't have home field advantage really, but they have a rather even draw. So you see, there are more losers than winners, and the winners are most of those that have avoided Italy and Denmark. I think this is how I can boil this down. When will these games be played? I mean, we don't know yet exactly at what time, but we know on the 26th of March and the 31st of March will be the finals. So 26th of March, semifinals, 31st of March will be the finals. And then we know the final field. Now I want to know from you, will Italy make it? I have serious doubts. I have serious doubts that Italy will make it. And we have a 3rd World Cup. And I can make another video. I mean, a little bit you got. I can make a whole lot of video what Italy has to do because it is just absolute failure and I don't think they will get their act together come March. Sad to see. And I think even if Italy would qualify, they will perform as poorly as they did at the Euros. Now, next thing coming up, 5th of December, the World Cup draw. It is in the club season, but for me, this will take definitely center stage. You will get, at the bare minimum, a reaction video to the draw. And as I said, there's something in the back of my mind that I wanted to say, wanted to talk about for over a month, but it doesn't fit regular programming all that much. But it's definitely a topic where I kind of look a little bit deeper in how and when certain nations win World Cups and the status of theirs and what this could tell us maybe for World Cups going forward. It's not a hard, cold facts-based analysis, it's more an emotional analysis, but I think it's a quite interesting observation. So maybe I'll tag this on around the World Cup draw. I'm not sure I will have the time to fire up a whole prediction model for the World Cup already after the draw. I will do my best, but it's gonna be busy times for me coming up, so I cannot guarantee that. But in any case, I'm very much looking forward to this World Cup draw. I'm not looking forward to the World Cup. Fortunately, there are now teams in there that I actually support that give it emotional weight. I just think it's too blown up, and then it's a time zone where I won't be able to watch all the games. I mean, I probably won't be able to watch all the games even if it was played in my time zone here because it's just too many. Well, yeah. I've done it before. In any case, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. In any case, give me a thumbs up or a nice review if you really enjoyed this episode. Also, leave me a subscription if you could and tell somebody else that we can grow this My Soccer Universe Football Talk channel anyway. Be it as it may, one thing is for certain. I'll talk to you soon about more things in My Soccer Universe. Bye. Be it as it may, if you enjoyed this episode or my previous episodes, please leave me a subscription, either to podcast on Spotify or Apple or on YouTube. If you're watching this, it would really help me out on this channel to keep it growing. I'm planning for all international stuff to be it more video based, shooting myself and put it on YouTube. Other than that, it will be probably audio only with just a few graphics here and there. Also, please tell somebody else, and you can always leave a comment or a nice review. All these things help really out. But whatever you decide to do, one thing is for certain, I'll talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye!